What I want to say is, Kristen, she's a Slim on Starch rock star. She goes, I wish I had Slim on Starch when I was a baby, because then I would have never gone through everything that I went through with diet and exercise. And, something that I always say, because we all can have that emotion about so many things.
Yep.
But there's two things that I want to say. And the first is that if you had known better, you would have done better. And now that you know better, you do better.
Right.
And at that time, you were doing the best that you could. Your weight about a month ago was 145. Oh. So this morning she stepped on the scale and I said, don't look. And I took a picture. And do you want to see what it said?
Yep, drum roll.
Here's what it said.
You're kidding.
Those are your feet.
Wow. I haven't seen that in decades. $138. I haven't seen that in decades.
How crazy.
Decades.
1 month later. Next question is, what do you do for exercise?
So I literally just walk. I love to walk. So I really, at this point in my life, am not into killing myself. I'm into being a healthy, what do you call them, strolling vegans? What was the term you had?
A strolling vegan.
A strolling vegan. That does it for me. I'm fine with that.
And I think the point to get across here is, what exercise was required for this tremendous weight loss?
None.
Truly.
And when I see people running, I'm thinking, that's not going to help you. It's what you're eating.
And it's tough because how is anybody supposed to know any better?
Right.
I'm not this huge, crazy, millions of people following me YouTuber, and I'm doing the best I can to try to get this point across. But it breaks my heart because people are killing themselves going to the gym, and it can't, it's probably doing more harm on the heart to try to push blood through these arteries that are clogged, and it's a heart attack waiting to happen. And you can eat yourself thin. So you go on a walk every day. 3 miles.
3 miles.
Walk? Yeah. Just listening to a podcast, and she really is a strolling vegan, because I'll run by her while she's on her walk and tap her bum.
No one else does that anymore.
I wash my hands for 6 hours after. Next question is, are you going to continue eating this way?
Yes, I am. Was that a quick enough response? Yeah, I think so. I don't see any reason to change. Mm-hmm. And of course, Dad is on board, so it's no big disruption in our house.
Well, bless Dad's heart, because he's saying to me, he makes this tremendous cacciatore, which is going to be in the recipe book that's going to be coming out. I asked him for it. It's oil free, and I was eating it one night after he had made it, and there were leftovers in the fridge, and I was eating it, and I was like,
this is so good.
Well, I truly was like, there has to be oil in this. There has to be. Because I was eating it and I was like, this is so good.
It's a medley of flavors.
But he swears up and down that there's none. And I've watched him, and there truly is no oil. But bless his heart, because he's been asking me, he's like, Emmie, if I make pasta from scratch, can Mom have it? And I'm like, so what I'm going to do now is teach you how to transit. She's Italian. She loves pasta, and pasta is a health food. By all means, it's a health food. But I really wanted to get you on the foundation and the absolute bare bones foundation and core of a whole food plant-based diet, so that you could understand the foundation. And now I'm going to teach you, which is what we do in the master's program. I'll just enroll you in the master's program so you can learn how to incorporate those foods back in, but learn how to incorporate back in things like pasta, things like pizza crust. I think pasta is really your big thing that you would want to incorporate, and then maybe pizza crust, because Dad makes homemade pizza. But those two things, so that you can, I think once we do that, you'll be absolutely set.
Right.
There's nothing else.
Right. And you know what I like? What the program also affords you the luxury, the ability too. If there's a special occasion in your life, don't even give it a second thought. You know, and I like that idea a lot. That if it's a holiday or it's a special meal, I'm just gonna enjoy myself and I won't go crazy,
right?
And be done with it.
Something that we do inside of the Slim on Starch program is there's a chat open with me and your nutrition coach and your mindset coach. And the mentality that we have is that we respond, we don't react. So when somebody sends us a message, what I want to do is look big picture, look at what your overall goals are, and give you an answer and an action step that's going to grant you success in the long term. We want this to be sticky. This is not a quick fix. I don't give quick fix responses in that chat, and I will never give you a quick fix answer. I really want us to step back and say what's going to make you the healthiest and happiest in the long term.
Right.
And if somebody asks me, I really want to stay 100% on my birthday, I'm gonna dig my heels in the sand because it's not sustainable in the long term.
No.
And what is fabulous is that when Slim on Starch is your foundation, it grants you the wiggle room to be able to have, you had Carol and Bobby over, and if you were to have something or they brought a little dessert or something, you have that wiggle room because you are so on that foundation of Slim on Starch.
Right. Like you said, but you can't say, well, Monday is this, Tuesday is this, and have a every day. That doesn't work either. But to be okay with yourself and not worry about that is great.
Because if you go there's one shade of black and there's one shade of white, there's a million shades of gray. And so if you are like, I'm 100% on this no matter what, well, if you're not black in that case, then you're just going to go right over to white and you're going to flip flop for the rest of your life.
Right.
Something that Kiki says, our head mindset coach, Kiki, she goes, you can swing the pendulum back and forth all you want, or you can go what she calls the middle way. She goes, because the average of the pendulum swinging back and forth is right down the middle. So do you want to exhaust yourself or do you want to do it the easy way?
Right.
I made this metaphor to a client the other day. I said, picture this. You're walking down the street and there's somebody else on the other side of the street and they're walking down the street. You can sprint and then catch your breath and stop and catch your breath and then sprint again and then catch your breath, sprint, catch your breath. And you're both going to get there at the same time. But the person who was walking, they got to look at the trees and listen to the birds. Which one would you rather do? Right? So let's do it the easy way.
Yeah, it's not hard.
The way that you've been doing it. Oh, I also will say that the number one, without a doubt, number one determinant of whether somebody is successful on the Slim on Starch program is not their age, their race, their gender, their weight, their willpower, their character, their intelligence. It has absolutely nothing to do with the individual and everything to do with preparation. If somebody is prepared and they do their food prep, we don't say meal prep, we say food prep, you will be successful. Preparation is key. And you've really been great with keeping up with that
preparation. I find preparation very meditative, to tell you the truth. I do. I like it. Much more than I thought I would.
Oh yeah, you're terrific at it. And it's I need to move out because I'll be sitting doing work and I can smell
it's all about the seasoning.
The sauce is boss. I mean, you're going to be paying Dylan's rent with all the Well Your Worlds that you're buying.
I know.
But you really have been, you've been knocking it out of the park in the meal prep. All right, next question is, what has been the biggest change that you've made from how you were eating beforehand?
Beforehand, I would wait until I was ravenous and then just grab anything that was available. I also was never prepared I just was, especially now since Dad is cooking and I don't cook the meals anymore. So there was never anything available that was good for me. I would go from hunger to just eating what was ever there. And now I put in my way only healthy, Slim on Starch foods.
I'm sure something that you learned through the hunger and fullness module is that we're taught that hunger and fullness is like a light bulb, and you're hungry and then you're full. And because when you're a kid, are you hungry? are you full now? We're never taught that it's actually a spectrum, and it's not this beautiful light bulb that goes on and goes off and goes on and wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
But that's not the case. And so to recognize that it's a spectrum and be able to detect when you're getting a little bit low on that scale, and to be able to move yourself up that scale, and not letting yourself get to a 0 or a 1 on the hunger scale, because then you'll grab whatever's there. That's just a primal reaction.
Right. And since food was never an issue in my life, my wildest dreams thought I had to sort of learn about it. Mm-hmm. And I've learned a lot, and it's pretty simplistic.
You don't know what you don't know.
Right. And when you learn, then you do better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing too, is I think what the next question maybe is, what would you go back and tell the person said your 26-year-old self? No. And before we answer that, what I want to say is, Kristen, she's a Slim on Starch rock star. She goes, I wish I had Slim on Starch when I was a baby, because then I would have never gone through everything that I went through with diet and exercise. And, something that I always say, because we all can have that emotion about so many things.
Yep.
But there's two things that I want to say. And the first is that if you had known better, you would have done better. And now that you know better, you do better.
Right.
And at that time, you were doing the best that you could. And the second thing is that having gone through that, and I'm sure everybody watching this video, you wouldn't be watching this video unless there was some struggle around your weight or food.
Yeah.
And because that is a reality of yours right now, or maybe it was, it makes health that much sweeter.
Yeah. When you learn about the evolution of food, families have been feeding their loved ones in a aura of love. And just because it was processed food for my generation doesn't mean that we were doing something bad. We thought we were doing something good. And now we know that that's just not the way to go. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel any guilt. I don't think any family should feel made to feel bad about the way we have been eating, because we didn't have the knowledge then that we have now. And it's okay. It's all right.
I had a mom say to me, who's in the Slim on Starch program, she goes, when I found out everything that I found out about dairy, I started crying because I've been feeding my toddler, milk. And I said, you've been doing the best that you can. Yeah. And I have people that also will come to the program and they'll be in tears saying, I can't believe I've let this happen to myself.
Yeah, no.
And it's not, you didn't set out to do this. And it's not your fault. It's the fault of the advertising. Every single second there's a commercial. We were watching football the other day and I go, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Every single commercial is for cheesy pizza and ice cream and all of this crazy stuff. And then you're being taught that you should be consuming things like dairy, which is going to pack on the pounds. So if you are in that position, quit beating yourself up.
Just let it go.
Yeah, you there was nothing you could have done. And the thing is, it's never too late. It's only too late if you don't start today. Yeah. She started this, you're 60 now.
Yeah, but I plan on being around for a while longer.
I sure hope not. Anyway, back to the original question. What would you tell this person said 26. So, and I'm 25.
I would tell my 26-year-old self that life and knowledge is always changing. So be a lifelong learner. There's always the potential for change and improvement. That what you've done in the past is done. And when you learn a better way, follow it.
Do you only allow yourself one serving, or do you allow yourself to have multiple servings?
Yeah, I think once you get into the vocabulary of allowing and not allowing, then you're getting on a path you don't want to be on. So I make myself a big bowl of food. So I'm generally full, but maybe one or two times I'm not, and I don't even think twice. I just say I'm not quite full. I know I want a little more, and I have a little more.
This is something that we do inside the Slim on Starch program, is we think about the words that you use when you talk about food and how we can replace those words.
And not to criticize, because I get it.
Yeah. And to be more so an observer of your actions as opposed to the judge of your actions.
And being more gentle with yourself.
And, an example is that I'll hear people say, is this good food, bad food? And I go, okay, let's replace those words. Is this a food that's going to get me closer to my weight loss goals? Or is this a food that's just going to keep me where I am in terms of my weight loss goals? Yeah. And to observe what you're doing. If you're struggling with binge eating, overeating, stress eating, not to cast judgment on yourself, because like we talked about earlier, you're not, you know, we know that you don't want to be doing these things.
Right.
So why put salt in the wound and judge yourself for it and then feel bad for it on top of that? Right. To be an observer of what you're doing, really take a neutral standpoint to where you are in your health, and understanding, like we said earlier, that it's never too late to pick up and get this going.
Be gentle. It's a process.
I have a client who's 71 years old. All right, next question. We only have a couple more. Oh, so the next two questions were personal questions, and I thought we could add them on so that if somebody's still watching, clearly they think you're interesting, so you ought to get your head checked. But the question is, what area of nursing do you work in, and what areas have you previously worked in?
All right, well, I started my career as a neurosurgical nurse at Children's Hospital in Boston, and then I went for several years to Brigham and Women's Hospital, where I did GYN oncology. And for the past couple of decades, I was a college nurse at a local university, and I also have been for many years a pediatric nurse on a general inpatient pediatric unit at a local hospital in the Mass General system.
And by many years, it's been like over 20 years that you've been a pediatric nurse.
Yes.
Can you believe this? People are trusting her with their lives.
Imagine such a thing.
If anybody's in Boston and Nurse Keefe comes in, take me now. And the last question, I thought this was a fun one.
Okay.
And you might have to think about it.
All right.
What was your favorite memory of when you visited me in Australia?
Oh, okay.
People may not know, while you think about this, people might not know. So I lived in Australia for about a year. I'm 25. I lived there when I was 23 and 24. So in the end half of 2018 and beginning half of 2019. And when I was there, she came and visited me and stayed in my studio apartment for 2 weeks, where I slept with a mattress on the floor.
Very luxurious.
I was 23 and a teacher. You couldn't blame me.
There was a hostel right across the street from where you were living. Couldn't be much different.
Yeah, I did my time.
Yes.
Being a 23-year-old, just trying to make ends meet.
That's right.
So what was your favorite memory when you came and visited
So
me?
I would have to say, we had the opportunity, you were in Melbourne, and we had the opportunity, you know what I'm going to say?
No.
To fly up to Sydney.
Favorite part was getting the hell out of there.
So we went up to Sydney, and when I came around the corner, I could tear up and saw the Sydney Opera House in front of me. I just could not believe that I had the opportunity to travel to Australia.
Yeah, that was crazy. She kept saying, and I'll insert some photos of it, but you kept saying, I can't believe
I'm here.
I'm standing in front of the Sydney Opera House. Yeah. And it really is wild when you're standing in front of it.
Yeah.
Sydney rocks.
Yeah, Sydney's a beautiful city.
Oh man, it's the perfect combination. I called it a tropical London.
Yeah,
because
to go to Bondi Beach and see the icebergs. They're famous for their outdoor ocean water swimming pools. It's a really special city.
You said I was like, there's no way I'm going in this water. I just can't. And you were like, I am not leaving.
Right.
Without going in that ocean. And you went in.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that was pretty special.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So we've talked for nearly 40 minutes.
Wow. I'm sorry.
That was wild.
Sorry about that.
No, people are going to want you back. And that was only 10 questions.
Wow.
So thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Emmie. You're the best.